Just accept it and move on. You're too weak to fight back anyway. Jessica's mocking laughter echoed through the living room as she lounged on my couch, casually sipping the wine I'd bought for my anniversary. An anniversary I now knew my husband had planned to spend with someone else. My name is Olivia, and at 35, I never expected to be standing in my own home, listening to my sister-in-law mock me while my husband David announced his plans to start a new life with his 26-year-old girlfriend. "Look, Olivia," David said, pacing near the fireplace where our family photos still hung. "This doesn't have to be messy. Sarah and I want to keep things simple. No legal registration, no property division. You can stay in the house for now, and everyone wins." I stood there, gripping my coffee mug so tight my knuckles turned white. 6 years of marriage, and this was how it ended, with my husband and his mistress planning their future while my SIL watched the show with barely concealed glee. "She's not even crying," Jessica Stage whispered to David. "Maybe she doesn't care as much as you thought she would, brother." Her smirk grew wider as she examined her perfectly manicured nails. "Or maybe she's finally accepting that she's not enough for you." I took a slow sip of my now cold coffee, my mind racing beneath my calm exterior. David had always been the perfect one in his family's eyes. Successful architect, charming personality, and according to his sister Jessica, far too good for plain, quiet me. What they never realized was that being underestimated had taught me patience, and patience had taught me wisdom. "Well?" David demanded, clearly unsettled by my silence. "Aren't you going to say anything?" I set my mug down carefully on the coffee table. "What would you like me to say, David?" Jessica laughed again, the sound grating against my nerves. "Oh, this is rich. She's actually going to play the dignified wife. How pathetic." But I wasn't playing. I was remembering the late nights I'd spent helping David build his portfolio when we first married, the clients I'd helped him network with through my own connections, and most importantly, the documents I carefully preserved over the years. "I understand," I said simply, meeting David's eyes. "You want to start fresh with Sarah. No legal ties, no complications." David's shoulders relaxed visibly. "Exactly. I knew you'd be reasonable about this. You always were the practical one." "Too practical," Jessica chimed in. "That's probably why David got bored. Sarah at least knows how to have fun." I watched as David grabbed his jacket, ready to leave for his dinner date with Sarah. "I'll send someone to pick up my things tomorrow," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. "We can sort out the details later." As they walked toward the door, Jessica turned back with one final jab. "You know, Olivia, some women would fight for their marriage. But I guess you're just not that type, are you?" I smiled softly, thinking of the locked drawer in my home office upstairs. "You're right, Jessica. I'm not that type at all." After they left, I walked upstairs to my office, my hands steady as I unlocked the bottom drawer of my desk. Inside lay 6 years' worth of carefully documented evidence, emails, bank statements, contracts with David's signature, and most importantly, proof of how deeply involved I've been in building his successful architecture firm. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Don't embarrass yourself by trying to fight this. We both know you're not strong enough." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and composed a quick email to my old college friend, now a prominent divorce attorney. "Remember when you told me to document everything? I need your help." Looking out my office window at the setting sun, I thought about David's words. No legal registration, no property division. He thought he found the perfect way to start his new life without consequences. Jessica thought I was too weak to stand up for myself. They were both about to learn that quiet doesn't mean weak, and patience doesn't mean acceptance. I had spent years being underestimated by David's family, watching and waiting, documenting and preparing. Not because I expected this day to come, but because my mother had taught me that smart women always have a backup plan. I picked up my phone and dialed another number. "Hi, Marcus. Remember those investment documents you helped me review last year? I think it's time to put our contingency plan into action." The wheels were already turning, and soon David and Jessica would learn that they had greatly underestimated the quiet, practical wife who never fought back. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in the fighting, it's in the waiting. 2 weeks after David's announcement, I sat in my lawyer's office, surrounded by stacks of meticulously organized documents. Maya, my attorney and college friend, whistled as she flipped through the files. "Olivia," This is incredible, she said, shaking her head in amazement. You have records of every contribution you made to David's firm, every client you brought in, every late-night revision you helped with, and these investment records. I nodded, thinking back to all those nights I'd spent organizing and backing up documents while David worked late, allegedly at the office. I learned early in our marriage that David's family only respected power. I figured having proof of my contributions might come in handy someday. Maya leaned back in her chair. Your husband thinks he can avoid property division by not legally registering his new relationship. But with these records, we can prove your substantial contribution to his firm's success. He'll have to properly divide assets whether he likes it or not. Just then, my phone buzzed with another taunting text from Jessica. David and Sarah looked so happy at dinner last night. This is what real love looks like, not your sad excuse for a marriage. I showed Maya the text, and she smiled grimly. Your SIL really enjoys pushing your buttons, doesn't she? She's been doing it for 6 years, I replied, always implying I wasn't good enough for David, that I was lucky to have him. She has no idea I've saved every nasty message, every email where she belittled me. Maya's eyes gleamed. Actually, those messages could work in our favor. They show a pattern of emotional harassment and combined with these financial records. A knock at the door interrupted us. Marcus, my financial advisor, entered with his own stack of papers. Ladies, wait until you see this. Those private investments David made last year, the ones he didn't want Olivia to know about, they were made using company funds that Olivia helped secure through her client connections. I remember discovering those transactions during one of my regular reviews of our joint accounts. Instead of confronting David, I had quietly documented everything and consulted Marcus about protecting my interests. So not only did he use company money for personal investments, Maya said slowly, but he did it with funds that Olivia helped bring in. This gets better and better. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from David. Sarah and I are planning to move into the lake house next month. I trust you'll handle the cleanup before we arrive. The lake house, our weekend getaway that I had found, negotiated, and partially funded with my inheritance. David had conveniently forgotten that part. They want the lake house too, I told Maya, showing her the message. She actually laughed. The lake house that's partially in your name, the one you found and helped purchase, let them try. Just then, Jessica burst into the office, her face flushed with anger. What do you think you're doing? She demanded. David told me you're meeting with lawyers. Are you really going to be this petty? I remained seated, calm as ever. Hello, Jessica. I'm just having a chat with some old friends. Friends? She sneered, looking at Maya and Marcus. More like you're trying to cause trouble. David's finally happy. Why can't you just let him go? Maya stood up, her professional demeanor firmly in place. Ms. Thompson, this is a private meeting. Unless you're here as your brother's legal representative, I'm here to tell Olivia to stop this nonsense. Jessica snapped. She's just proving what I've always said. She's not good enough for our family. A truly loving wife would want David's happiness. I finally stood, gathering my documents calmly. You're right, Jessica. A loving wife would want her husband's happiness. But a smart wife? I held up one of the folders. A smart wife makes sure she's protected. Jessica's face paled slightly as she glimpsed the labeled tabs, investment records, client contributions, property documents, harassment evidence. You've been planning this? She stammered. No, Jessica, I've been preparing. There's a difference. I turned to Maya. I think we have everything we need for now. As Jessica stormed out, Marcus checked his phone and smiled. The preliminary audit of the firm's accounts is complete. Should I share the findings with David's partners? I nodded, thinking of all the times David had dismissed my suggestions about financial transparency in his firm. Yes, I think it's time they knew exactly how their money has been managed. The wheels were in motion now, and soon David and his family would learn that their practical weak Olivia had been anything but. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should watch most carefully. 1 month later, I sat in the conference room of David's architecture firm, watching his perfect world crumble. The board members had called an emergency meeting after Marcus's audit revealed David's misuse of company funds. His partners' faces were grim as they reviewed the evidence I provided. So not only did you make unauthorized investments with company money, the senior partner stated, glaring at David, but you also plan to give away company assets, including the lake house property, which was partially purchased with firm funds without board approval. David's face had lost its usual confidence. I can explain. These were temporary arrangements. Temporary? Another partner interrupted. Like the temporary clients Mrs. Chen brought to the firm. The ones who now make up 30% of our annual revenue? I kept my expression neutral, though inside I felt a flutter of satisfaction. They'd finally used my maiden name, not just David's wife anymore. Jessica burst into the room, waving her phone. "This is all her fault," she shouted, pointing at me. "She's trying to ruin David's life because she can't accept that he found someone better." The senior partner raised an eyebrow. "Miss Thompson, this is a private board meeting. Security will escort you out." As Jessica was led away, still shouting Sarah, David's girlfriend, texted him. "Is it true? Are we losing the lake house? You promised me a perfect life." I watched David's face fall as he read the message. His perfect escape plan was dissolving before his eyes. "The board has reached a decision," the senior partner announced. "Given the circumstances, we're initiating a complete restructuring. Mr. Thompson, you'll be stepping down as managing partner, effective immediately." David slumped in his chair. "You can't do this. I built this firm." "Actually," I spoke for the first time, my voice steady. "We built it together. Every late night, every client meeting, every revision. I was there. I just never needed the credit, until now." The meeting ended with David's resignation. Outside the conference room, he grabbed my arm. "Why are you doing this? I was going to take care of you." I gently removed his hand. "No, David. You were going to discard me. There's a difference." That evening, as I packed the last of David's things from our house, Jessica showed up one final time. "You've destroyed everything," she said, but her voice had lost its edge. "Our family's reputation, David's career." "No, Jessica. Your brother did that himself. I just showed everyone the truth." She stared at me for a long moment. "I never thought you had it in you. All these years I thought you were weak, pathetic, too practical." I smiled. "Sometimes the quiet ones surprise you." 3 months after David's announcement of his simple plan, I stood in my newly redecorated living room. The family photos were gone, replaced by artwork I'd always loved but David had deemed too bold. The investment money had been recovered, the lake house was legally mine, and David's firm had offered me a consulting position, which I politely declined. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "Final divorce papers signed. Property division complete. You're officially free." I poured myself a glass of wine, the same expensive brand Jessica had carelessly sipped while mocking me. Another message came through, this time from David. "I understand now. I'm sorry." Too little too late. Looking out at the sunset through my window, I thought about the lesson my mother had taught me years ago. Never let them see your strength until you need to use it. The power of being underestimated is that no one sees you coming. I raised my glass in a silent toast to the quiet, practical wife who had proven stronger than anyone expected. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in fighting back immediately. It's in waiting, watching, and choosing the perfect moment to show your true strength. The doorbell rang. Outside stood Sarah, looking uncomfortable. I didn't know," she stammered. "About the firm, about the money, about any of it. I thought." "You thought you found your perfect ending. I finished for her. Life's rarely that simple." As I closed the door on David's past and my own, I smiled, thinking of Jessica's words from that first day. Just accept it and move on. I had accepted it, accepted that I deserved better, and I had moved on, just not in the way they'd expected. Sometimes the strongest response isn't in the shouting, but in the silence. And sometimes the person they call weak turns out to be the strongest of them all.